When you think about the moments in your life where you felt an instant connection with someone, chances are laughter was involved. There's something almost magical about the way humor melts away stiffness, dissolves walls, and creates this unspoken bond between two people. It's like you can skip past the surface level chatter and suddenly find yourself in a space where both of you feel safe enough to be real. That's why humor isn't just about telling a clever line. It's about the emotional shift it creates. The moment someone laughs, they're not thinking about their stress, their worries, or what's going wrong in their day. They're simply present with you, enjoying that shared spark. And for men in particular, laughter has a powerful pull. It's a signal that you're not only enjoyable to be around, but you understand how to lighten the weight of the world that often rests on their shoulders. Here's the thing. People rarely remember every word of a conversation, but they always remember how you made them feel. If you can create an experience where a man feels lighter just because he's talking to you, that memory lingers. He'll associate you with relief, comfort, and joy, and that association is addictive in the best way. Think about how many interactions we all go through each day that feel flat, routine, or transactional. So when someone comes along and breaks that pattern with a joke that lands, it's like a breath of fresh air. Suddenly, the energy shifts and the conversation stops being a back and forth exchange of words and starts becoming an experience. That's why humor is such a secret superpower. It doesn't just win attention, it wins emotions, and emotions are what create true bonds. But it's not about being a stand-up comedian or memorizing a list of one-liners. In fact, jokes that feel forced rarely land. What makes humor irresistible is when it feels organic, when it grows out of the moment and fits the rhythm of the conversation. Sometimes the funniest things come from a shared observation, pointing out something small you both noticed and adding a playful twist. Those are the jokes that make someone feel like you're on the same wavelength. And that sense of we get each other is what makes laughter feel so intimate. Men don't just laugh because something is funny, they laugh because it feels good to share that humor with you. Another powerful layer here is vulnerability. When you joke, especially in a way that's a little silly or playful, you're showing that you're comfortable enough to not take yourself too seriously. That in itself is incredibly attractive because it signals confidence. You're saying, without words, I can be myself, and I don't need to impress you with perfection. That kind of energy gives him permission to relax too. And when he feels safe enough to laugh around you, the connection deepens. Laughter becomes a signal that he doesn't need to hold up a mask because you're not here to judge, you're here to enjoy. And maybe that's the real magic. Laughter is an invitation. It's an invitation to drop the weight, to play, to connect without overthinking. When you can make a man laugh, you're not just entertaining him, you're opening a door to intimacy, because joy is one of the most intimate emotions we share. If you want to create moments that stick, moments he replays in his mind long after the conversation ends, then humor is the key. The irresistible kind of humor isn't about trying hard, it's about being present, finding joy in the small things, and letting that joy overflow into the interaction. That's why laughter works every single time. It's not just sound, it's chemistry, it's comfort, and it's connection. If you've ever heard someone tell the exact same joke twice, you'll know that one time it made the whole room erupt in laughter, and the other time it fell completely flat. What changed? Not the words of the joke, they were identical. What changed was the timing. Timing is everything when it comes to humor, and it's often the difference between being forgettable and being irresistible. Men, just like anyone else, aren't only responding to what you say, they're responding to how you say it and when you choose to deliver it. The right line dropped at the wrong moment feels awkward, but the right line dropped at exactly the right moment feels electric. Great humor doesn't rush. It lingers, it plays with space, It understands that silence can be just as powerful as words. Think about the way a punchline lands. If you blurt it out too quickly, the other person doesn't have time to anticipate, to lean in, to feel the build up. And if you wait too long, the moment passes and the energy dies. Timing is about catching that sweet spot, the moment when the mood is ripe and the other person is most open to receive it. Men especially love humor that feels effortless, like you were simply riding the wave of the moment rather than forcing it. That effortless feel comes from understanding timing, and timing comes from being present in the interaction rather than being in your head, rehearsing what to say next. The most irresistible jokes aren't memorized routines, they're born in real time. Maybe you're both waiting for your coffee and the barista yells out an impossible to pronounce name and you whisper, "That's definitely your undercover identity." Or maybe he tells you a story about his gym session and you pause just long enough before saying, "So basically you're telling me you single-handedly saved the dumbbells from abandonment." The humor isn't just in the words, it's in the pause, the playful delivery, and the way it matches the energy of the moment. That's what timing really is, syncing yourself to the flow of the interaction so that what you say feels like a natural extension of it. Timing also works because it shows awareness. When you hold back a joke until the right moment, you're demonstrating that you're attuned to the conversation, that you're paying attention not only to what he's saying, but to how he's feeling. That kind of awareness is deeply attractive because it makes him feel seen. Anyone can tell a joke, but when you time it perfectly, you create the sense that you just get him. And when a man feels that level of understanding, laughter becomes more than a reaction. It becomes a connection. Another powerful element of timing is the unexpected pause. Sometimes delaying your punchline by just a second or two creates tension, and tension makes the release of laughter even more satisfying. Imagine saying something playful and then letting it hang in the air with a little smirk. That pause tells him you're confident enough to own the moment, and that confidence is part of what makes the joke irresistible. Humor without confidence feels shaky, humor with the right timing feels magnetic. And here's something worth remembering. Timing doesn't only apply to jokes themselves, it applies to choosings when humor should lead and when it shouldn't. If he's opening up about something serious, cracking a joke in the middle of his vulnerability can come across as dismissive. But if you sense he's ready to lighten up, slipping in a well-timed playful line can shift the energy and make him feel grateful for you. Timing is about reading the room, reading the moment, and adjusting your humor so it adds to the connection rather than breaking it. At the end of the day, the irresistible kind of humor isn't about having the sharpest punchline or the wittiest script. It's about making your humor feel alive, in tune with the moment, and perfectly placed. When you get timing right, even the simplest joke can feel like a spark that lingers. And that's why men can't stop laughing. Not because the joke itself was revolutionary, but because the delivery felt so smooth, so present, and so connected that it became unforgettable. There's a certain charm in being able to laugh at yourself, and when done right, it's one of the most magnetic forms of humor. Men are drawn to it because it feels authentic, it shows you don't take life too seriously, and it makes you instantly more relatable. But here's the catch. There's a fine line between self-deprecating humor that makes you approachable and self-deprecating humor that lowers your value. The goal isn't to make yourself the butt of every joke, but to sprinkle in just enough playfulness about yourself that it shows confidence, not insecurity. When you poke fun at yourself in a light-hearted way, you send a subtle message. I'm comfortable in my own skin. That's powerful because confidence isn't about pretending to be flawless. It's about being relaxed with your imperfections. A man doesn't laugh at the joke because he thinks less of you. He laughs because he sees how free you are, how little pressure you put on yourself to be perfect, and that's refreshing. Imagine saying something like, I tried to cook once. Let's just say the smoke alarm knows me by name. It's not heavy, it's not putting you down, but it's enough to make him smile while showing you can laugh at life's little disasters. This kind of humor works because it makes you safe to connect with. So many people walk around trying to prove themselves, trying to impress by being flawless. But that kind of perfection feels distant and unrelatable. The moment you show that you can stumble, mess up, or laugh at your own quirks, you create a bridge. Men don't want someone who feels untouchable. They want someone they can relax with, someone whose presence feels like a break from the constant performance of daily life. Self-deprecating humor, when used with balance, gives him that relief. The key word here is balance. If every joke you tell is about how clumsy you are, how unlucky you are, or how you can't get anything right, that doesn't create attraction. It creates pity. And pity is the opposite of irresistible. The difference lies in your energy. If you make a self-deprecating joke with a smile, with a sparkle in your eyes, it feels playful. But if you say it with a tone that suggests you actually believe it, it becomes heavy. The line is thin, but the difference is clear. One makes you magnetic, the other makes you seem insecure. Another beautiful part of self-deprecating humor is that it invites him to play along. If you joke about how bad you are at parallel parking, it gives him permission to tease you about it in a light-hearted way. That back and forth teasing builds chemistry because it creates an inside joke between the two of you. Suddenly, the humor isn't just about you, it's about you and him together. That shared laughter becomes a memory, a tiny thread that connects you beyond just words. And here's something fascinating: when you joke about yourself confidently, it often makes men admire you even more. Why? Because everyone has flaws, but most people spend their time hiding them. By being the person who can laugh at them, you're showing a level of security that's rare. You're saying, I know who I am, and I'm okay with it. That's incredibly attractive because it creates a sense of freedom. He doesn't feel like he has to be perfect around you either, and that's what makes the connection grow. At the heart of it, irresistible humor isn't about being flawless, it's about being fearless. Self-deprecating humor, when used wisely, shows you're not afraid to be real, not afraid to be human, and not afraid to laugh at yourself. That's what makes men lean in, because they sense that with you, life won't be full of pressure and performance. It will be full of joy, play, and laughter that makes even your little imperfections feel irresistible. There's a certain electricity that comes with playful teasing. It's the kind of humor that instantly creates spark because it dances on that line between fun and flirtation. Men are especially drawn to it because it's not just about making them laugh, it's about creating a unique rhythm between you and him. A private language that sets your interaction apart from every other conversation he has in a day. Teasing, when done right, is irresistible because it stirs curiosity, it invites him to play, and it makes him feel like he's sharing something with you that no one else gets to share. The beauty of teasing is that it communicates more than words. When you tease someone, you're sending the message, I feel comfortable enough with you to play. And that message is incredibly attractive. Most conversations, people have a safe and polite, filled with small talk that doesn't touch on emotion or chemistry. But when you slip in a playful tease, like Mock raising an eyebrow when he brags about his workout routine and saying, so basically you're applying for superhero status. You're adding a jolt of energy that sets the interaction apart. Suddenly, it's not just a conversation, it's an exchange that feels alive. Teasing also creates contrast, which is why it's so powerful. If every word you say is complimentary, it can start to feel predictable. But when you mix genuine interest with a little playful challenge, it keeps him on his toes. Men secretly love that balance. Knowing you like them, but also knowing you're not just handing over your approval without a little fun along the way. It makes the connection feel earned, and that makes it sweeter. A simple, cheeky comment like, that's the best you've got. When he tries to be funny, delivered with a smile, can actually make him want to try harder just to impress you. And when he does make you laugh, he feels like he won something valuable. The secret, of course, is kindness. Teasing should never cut deep or highlight insecurities, because that shifts the energy from playful to hurtful. The goal is lightness, to highlight something in a way that makes him laugh at himself without ever feeling attacked. Maybe it's teasing him about always ordering the same coffee, or about the way he insists he doesn't dance, but then admits he does in the shower. The focus is on quirks, not flaws. That's what keeps the teasing attractive. It feels fun, not mean. Another reason playful teasing works so well is that it naturally builds inside jokes. The moment you tease him about something and he plays along, you've created a little shared world that only the two of you understand. The next time it comes up, it becomes your thing, and those tiny private jokes are what make interactions memorable. He'll think of you every time that joke comes back to mind, and that mental replay is exactly what makes people feel a connection long after the conversation ends. Playful teasing also shows confidence. It takes a certain boldness to lightly challenge someone, to step away from the safe zone of polite conversation. And when you do it with charm, it makes him see you as someone who isn't afraid to be yourself. That confidence is contagious. It invites him to match your energy, to drop his guard, and to play along. When two people are teasing back and forth, the tension in the room shifts. It feels exciting, unpredictable, and fun, and that's exactly the kind of energy that turns a simple moment into something unforgettable. At its core, teasing is about creating chemistry. It's the verbal version of a spark, something that makes him laugh while also making him wonder what you'll say next. Men can't resist it because it mixes humor with challenge, and it turns conversation into connection. When you can tease with kindness, confidence, and charm, you're not just making him laugh, you're making him lean in, eager for more. Some of the funniest and most unforgettable moments don't come from quick one-liners, they come from stories. Storytelling jokes have a different kind of power because they do more than make someone laugh in the moment. They pull him into an experience with you. A one-liner might get a chuckle, but a story lets you take him on a ride with build-up, detail, and a punchline that feels earned. And the best part is, when humor comes through a story, it doesn't just create laughter, it creates a memory. Men don't just remember the words you said, they remember how it felt to be caught up in the moment with you. Stories are so powerful because they're immersive. When you start telling one, you're painting a picture. Maybe you're talking about the time you tried baking and ended up setting off the fire alarm, or the time you went to the gym and realized too late that you'd been using the equipment completely wrong. As you share, he's imagining it, seeing it play out, and by the time you land on the punchline, it feels like he was right there with you. That kind of humor draws him closer because it feels like he's part of the adventure, not just a spectator. The beauty of storytelling jokes is that they reveal pieces of who you are without it ever feeling like a lecture. While you're making him laugh, you're also showing your playful side, your quirks, your sense of perspective. He learns more about you simply through the way you frame the story. And that's what makes this kind of humor irresistible. It's not just about being funny, it's about letting him step into your world and feel like he's sharing a moment that's uniquely yours. Men are especially drawn to stories because they're engaging. A one-liner is over in seconds, but a funny story has anticipation, twists, and a payoff. It's like watching a mini performance, except it's casual and natural. And when you tell it with expression, with pauses at the right moments, and with that sparkle of playfulness in your eyes, it becomes captivating. He's not just laughing at the end. He's entertained the whole way through. That kind of presence lingers with him long after the conversation ends. Another reason storytelling works so well is because it often leads to shared laughter. When you tell a story, it gives him room to jump in, to relate, and to add his own experiences. Maybe you tell him about how you tripped on your way to a first date, and he laughs before admitting that he once spilled coffee on himself before an important meeting. Suddenly, it's not just your story anymore, it's a shared exchange, a back and forth of humor and vulnerability that bonds you both. Those shared moments are what build real chemistry, because you're no longer just trading words, you're building a connection through laughter. Stories also give you the chance to show playful exaggeration, which makes humor even stronger. Saying, "I walked into the gym and every machine turned into a puzzle from another planet," is funnier than simply saying, "I didn't know how to use the equipment." That little exaggeration adds color, it makes the story more vivid, and it amplifies the humor. Men love when you can bring a moment to life in a way that feels dramatic and funny without taking yourself too seriously. What makes storytelling jokes unforgettable is that they stick. A one-liner might fade from memory, but a story can replay in his head, complete with the way you told it, the expressions you used, and the laughter it sparked. And every time it comes back to mind, so do you. That's the kind of humor that doesn't just make someone laugh once. It keeps them smiling long after. At the heart of it, storytelling jokes are about creating experiences, not just moments. They turn ordinary situations into funny memories, and those memories become the glue that makes someone feel connected to you. When a man laughs through a story you share, he's not just amused, he's engaged, invested, and drawn closer. And that's why storytelling humor works every time. Because it's not just about the punchline, it's about the journey you take him on to get there. The truth is, the funniest joke in the world will fall flat if it's told without confidence. Humor isn't just about words, it's about delivery, presence, and the energy you bring into the moment. Men don't just laugh at the punchline, they laugh at the way you own it. Confidence acts like the secret ingredient that turns something mildly amusing into something absolutely irresistible. And the beauty of it is that confidence isn't about being loud or over the top. It's about carrying yourself with ease, as though you know that what you're saying has value and you're not afraid to let it land. When you tell a joke with confidence, it shows in your tone, your posture, and even your timing. You don't rush to the punchline as if you're worried people won't listen. Instead, you take your time, letting the build up create anticipation. You don't apologize for the joke or look for approval. You let it breathe because you trust that it's funny and that your energy will make it land. That trust is what makes the moment magnetic. Men feel that energy, and it makes them lean in because they sense you're not performing for their validation. You're simply enjoying yourself and inviting them to join in. Confidence also allows you to own silence, and silence is often the most underrated tool in humor. Think about those moments when you say something playful and then just pause, holding eye contact with a little smirk. That pause isn't insecurity, it's confidence, because you're letting the moment build instead of rushing past it. And often, that's when the laughter comes hardest, because the silence adds weight to the humor. Without confidence, silence feels awkward. With confidence, silence feels like tension that explodes into laughter. Another thing confidence does is protect your humor from falling flat. Let's be honest, not every joke you tell will be perfect. Sometimes the timing will be off, sometimes the other person won't get the reference. But confidence turns those moments into charm instead of embarrassment. If you laugh at yourself and keep the energy light, he's more likely to laugh with you than at the joke itself. That resilience is attractive because it shows you're not fragile. You're not measuring your worth by whether every line lands. You're secure enough to play and keep the fun going no matter what. Men love that sense of ease because it takes the pressure off of them too. Confidence also makes your humor more believable. Imagine telling a story about a funny disaster in your life, but sounding uncertain as if you're worried it won't be funny. The hesitation waters down the humor. But if you tell it like you own it, like you're proud of the chaos and amused by it, then even the simplest details become entertaining. It's not the story alone, it's the way you embody it. Humor told with conviction turns into a performance that pulls the other person in, and that's why it sticks. And let's not forget, confidence is contagious. When you laugh with certainty, when you deliver your jokes with playful conviction, you invite him to relax and meet you on that same wavelength. Your energy sets the tone, and the more grounded and confident you are, the easier it is for him to laugh freely without holding back. He doesn't worry about saying the right thing because you've already shown him that fun doesn't come from perfection. It comes from presence. At the core, confidence is the punchline because it amplifies everything else. The timing feels sharper, the teasing feels more playful, the self-deprecation feels more charming, and the storytelling feels more vivid. It's the foundation that allows humor to breathe and come alive. Without it, jokes can feel forced or fall flat. With it, even the simplest line can become unforgettable. Men aren't just laughing at the words, they're laughing because your confidence makes the whole interaction feel easy, exciting, and magnetic. And that's why confidence will always be the element that makes your humor irresistible.